तो ज्योग्राफी ऑप्शनल का पेपर 2 का यूनिट 3 है एग्रीकल्चर। उसका एक क्विक रिवीजन है ये। सबसे पहले इंट्रोडक्शन टू इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर की बात कर लेते हैं। तो व्हाट इज द नैरेटिव अबाउट इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर? सो द नैरेटिव अबाउट इंडियन एग्रीकल्चर इज इट इज seen as rural, it is seen as low development, it is often seen as uh, sources and places of poverty, whereas the urban and the more developed one are seen as manufacturing ones. So manufacturing is urban, manufacturing is developed, whereas the narrative for agriculture is that it is rural, implies poverty, and there is low development. But what's the reality of Indian agriculture? The reality is agriculture is a dominant function in Indian economy. It is also the largest employer. Around more than 50% of our population is employed in agriculture, and then it has also economic contribution of about 15 to 20% in our gross value addition. And if we see at the land use pattern, so more than 60% of our land is used for agriculture. So, despite this narrative, agriculture being attributed with poverty, with low development, with rural areas, हकीकत यही है कि it is the dominant function of Indian economy and it cannot be ignored. और इसीलिए ये यूनिट है where we will understand कि इंडिया के क्या नीड्स हैं, एग्रीकल्चर बेस्ड ओवरऑल प्लानिंग और डेवलपमेंट हमें क्यों चाहिए, और साथ ही साथ हम ट्रेडिशनली जो प्रैक्टिसेस हैं उनको इग्नोर करना अफोर्ड क्यों नहीं कर सकते, क्योंकि देयर वर सेवरल मॉडल्स लाइक वेस्टर्न मॉडल्स ऑफ इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट ऑफ ग्रोथ पोल, द रॉस्टोव्स मॉडल. So what they did, they ignored the traditional methods. So we cannot afford to ignore those traditional methods. Now let us look at what are the features. What are the features of Indian agriculture? So basically, we have a diverse range of geophysical condition. There is a diverse range of geophysical condition, and due to which India is able to support a range of products and agriculture function. And our another feature of our agriculture is we have labor intensive agriculture, and the nature is traditionally it is subsistence farming, that is food crop based farming. Then another thing about the Indian agriculture is the distortion which has been made by the colonial rule. So earlier the traditional crops we used to grow were more of food crops, though we had a mixed crop pattern, but moreover it was dominated by food crops. But then the Britishers came in, and then we have seen a transitional shift जब हम लोग कैश क्रॉप्स जैसे इंडिगो हो गया, शुगर केन, जूट, उसकी तरफ हम लोगों ने ज्यादा ध्यान देना स्टार्ट कर दिया. तो करेंटली इंडिया का जो रियलिज्म है एग्रीकल्चर में, इट इज डिमांडिंग दैट we should innovate and we must modernize agriculture. And meanwhile, we should also introduce sustainable traditional practices like organic farming and development of rainwater harvesting systems. So, if we'll see the features, the realism, the India's realism in agriculture demands that we must modernize, but उसके साथ we must not uh, ignore the traditional practices such as the organic farming, the rainwater harvesting system, and seeing the current climatic variations and climate variability. and the global climate change phenomena, India needs to focus on dry regions also. So, dry region is one of the important concerns where India needs to focus because in the dry regions there is limitation of conventional irrigation system. Then rainfall variability is there. So India needs to develop sustainable, non-conventional irrigation-based cropping patterns here, and it must also expand into non-crop options as part of the agriculture diversification. So agriculture diversification is important. We need to focus on the dry region. We need to diversify our agriculture. We need to have modern technologies with the traditional ones, the organic farming, rainwater harvesting system, and all those stuffs. Now, some basics about the seasons we must know. So, there are basically three seasons. You must be knowing Kharif, then we have Rabi, and then we have Zaid. Leaving Zaid for now, let's discuss Kharif and Rabi. So, Kharif is basically the rainy or the monsoon season. Here, the crop requires high amount of water. And why do we say that it is rainy or monsoon? Because the growing season. So each crop has three phases. It has a growing season, it has a sowing season, and it has the harvesting season. So the kharif is being uh, grown in the late summers or pre-monsoons. That is why it is uh, kharif. And then we have a sowing season. Sorry, actually, this is sowing season is monsoon. Sorry. The sowing season is pre-monsoon and the growing season is monsoon. By mistake, I have said it, I have interchanged it. So please correct it. So the seasons are defined on the basis of the season in which the crops are grown. So the Kharif crops are grown in rainy seasons. That's why it is the monsoon season. And the harvest is obviously post-monsoon. Then winter, the crops require relatively less water. And Rabi is winter because it is grown in winter. Some examples of this can be wheat, can be barley, can be mustards. Now, next topic of discussion is crop pattern distribution. Crop pattern distribution. So we have, as we have studied, that we have a diverse range of geophysical condition. So India is able to grow a diverse type of crops. Rice is the most dominant crop of India. It is grown in almost all seasons with the help of water and irrigation systems. Then rice is more prevalent along the river basins. Second largest crop of India is wheat. So basically, wheat is grown in the western and northwestern part of India mostly as a rabi crop. So one by one, I'll discuss the crops and some points around it. So first is rice. So it is dominant in India. It is grown in three seasons. It is grown in Kharif, it is grown during autumn also, and in summer also. In autumn, it is known as Aman and Aus. And in summer, in parts of Odisha, we call it as Dalwa rice. Then it is also grown in the Kharif or the rainy season. Another characteristic of rice is it is prevalent along river basins and along coastal regions, plus also in the southern India and some eastern regions of the country. Then second is wheat. So wheat is the second largest crop of India. Then it is grown in the Rabi season, where it is dominantly grown. So for wheat, UP is a major producer. Western and northwestern part of India dominates in wheat, and UP is among the uh, leaderboard topper. And in terms of grains, wheat has maximum commercialization. Maximum commercialization. Then we have cash crops. So we have many cash crops like we have sugarcane, we have jute, we have cotton, we have tea. So this is cash crop, sugarcane, jute, cotton, tea. Now sugarcane is mostly grown in Maharashtra and UP. It is more than 90% of the sugarcane is grown with the help of irrigation systems because it is a water intensive crop. Water intensive crop. And major regions are apart from Maharashtra and UP, in Punjab, in the Kaveri Belt region, in parts of Haryana. Then another cash crop is jute. It is also a water intensive crop. It is therefore it is grown along river basins. And some of the river basins where it has grown is it is in the Hooghly, Godavari, Krishna parts of Bihar. So if you can draw a small map and mark these areas. So I was telling that you can always make a small map and mark up the parts where jute is grown. So it is in parts of West Bengal, parts of Bihar, then it is in the Godavari basin, it is in the Krishna basin. Then our next cash crop is cotton. So predominantly found in part of Gujarat and Maharashtra also. So cotton is a again water intensive crop, but it is also sorry, not water intensive crop, water sensitive crop. What do I mean by that? It does not require direct rainfall, but it requires water at the roots. So it requires water at roots. So it is a dry region crop. Dry region crop. It requires. It is largely grown in irrigation areas because it requires intensive use of water. So we need irrigation facilities for growing up cotton. Then we have uh, tea. Tea is mostly and majorly dominated by Assam. It is a wet crop where we require around 150 to 200 centimeter of rain. Along with it, we also need very cool conditions. Plus, the water must drain off. So, therefore, we are mostly growing tea on the slopes, like on the slopes of Eastern Himalaya, on the slope of even in the southern states also where tea is grown, it is grown on the slopes of Nilgiri. So to drain off water, it is preferred to grow tea in the regions of where there is slope. Then fourth, in India we have pulses. So pulses is a major protein source. It is a major protein source. Plus, it is also a very efficient way of soil management because it is having leguminous character, which is a nitrogen fixation property. So these are the benefit of pulses. So we have tur or arhar. It is the largest in India. It is in MP, we have in UP, we have in Maharashtra. Then we have moong, then we have urad, then we have lentil, then we have gram. And you can write the areas associated where they are grown. And a small discussion about the pulse's significance. I already told you that it is a source of protein. Apart from it, it can help us. to control our import expenses. If we can become self sufficient in pulses, then our import expenses can be curbed down. Then it can also be used as part of income augmentation. If we can grow them commercially, if the farmers can grow them commercially and sell it, then it will be a part of their income augmentation. Then it is a pulses are dry crop, and they can be important in the drought management also. So they have a role in drought management also because they do not require as extensive water as it is required by sugarcane and some other cash crops. Then next we have point number five, oil seeds. Oil seeds. So oil seeds can be a food crop also and can be used as in the industrial सेक्टर ऑल्सो. तो फूड क्रॉप के क्या एग्जांपल्स हैं? एडिबल ऑयल होता है, ग्राउंडनट होता है, मस्टर्ड होता है, सनफ्लावर होता है, पाम ऑयल होता है. और इंडस्ट्रियल का क्या है? इंडस्ट्रियल में जैसे कैस्टर ऑयल है, तो कैस्टर ऑयल से ल्यूब्रिकेंट्स बनते हैं विच आर यूज्ड इन ऑटोमोबाइल सेक्टर. तो ऑयल सीड्स कैन बी बोथ used for food and used in industries also. So some of them are palm oil, we have sunflower, we have soya bean. And a very interesting fact that is about groundnut. So groundnut is the largest of all the oil seeds grown in India, and it is used in as a uh, in the intercropping with the cotton. तो होता क्या है, इसको कॉटन के साथ ग्रो कर देते हैं क्योंकि वहां पे ये बेटर सरवाइव कर पाता है ड्राई ड्राई रीजन्स में, बिकॉज वी हैव सीन दैट कॉटन इज अ क्रॉप ऑफ ड्राई रीजन. सो द ग्राउंडनट इज वेरी एडुकेट टू सरवाइव इन द ड्राई रीजन्स. और इसीलिए जैसे कॉटन के साथ इसको ग्रो करते हैं ना अपना ग्राउंडनट को, तो इट ऑल्सो बिकम्स अ बैकअप फॉर द फार्मर. सो इफ इन केस God forbid, if the cotton fails, then the farmer have a backup of groundnut. Then talking about sunflower. So the advantage of sunflower is it has a very low failure rate. It generally does not fail. It is also a dry crop. So this has no extensive water usage. तो हमारे एग्रीकल्चर में जहाँ पे भी पानी की कमी है वहाँ पे हम इसको यूज कर सकते हैं. अभी आगे मैं बताऊंगा कि पानी का क्या स्टेटस है. Then you'll appreciate these facts more. And in the last, soybean, it is a legume, so it is environmentally beneficial. Then it has nutritional value. देखा होगा जिम वालों को सोयाबीन खाते रहते हैं. So it has nutritional security also. It ensures India's nutritional security, and it also has a very low failure rate. So generally these crops do not fail. Now after covering the crop pattern and distribution, our next topic of discussion will be agriculture productivity. Agriculture productivity. Now, what do you understand by agriculture productivity? So, in simple terms, it is the ratio of agriculture output to agriculture input. It basically showcases the efficiency ratio of agri output to agri input. And what it reflects? It reflects the efficiency of the agriculture sector. Now, what are the key aspects? Some key aspects of agriculture productivity is first is your yield measurement. तो बेसिकली yield को ना ऑफनली हम लोग मेजर करते हैं इन टर्म्स ऑफ yield पर यूनिट एरिया, जैसे कि टन्स पर हेक्टर हो गया या बुशेल पर एकड़ हो गया. So first aspect is yield measurement. Then second is the input usage. What is an input usage? The input are land, we have labor, we have capital, then we are also investing fertilizers. So these are the then next key aspect is technical advancement. What is the level of technology, how innovative we are, and what are the genetic improvements that we are able to achieve? What is the advancement in the mechanizations of the field? Then another we have environmental aspects also. So how is the climate impacting the agriculture? What is the soil fertility? Because these all will impact your agriculture. What is the water availability? So these are the key aspects of agriculture productivity because they are going to decide by and large the success ratio of the uh, produce. Then we also have economic factors also that includes the market access, that includes the infrastructure, that includes the government policies and schemes. And other than this, we also have a very crucial aspect that is sustainability. Now, after discussing all these aspects, talking about agriculture productivity, AP. So it can be classified in terms of yield per hectare and also in terms of yield per person. So basically, there are two ways. You can either see the productivity in terms of yield per hectare or in terms of yield per percent. So when we are seeing the productivity in terms of yield per hectare of land cultivated, so it is intensive agriculture. Here the inputs are high and here the man hours are also high. And in above condition, generally yield per hectare is not very high. For example, if you see in India and China, the yield per hectare is very low. Whereas if we look at the productivity in terms of yield per person, it is extensive agriculture where there is a lot of farm mechanization. There are large areas and at every stage the operation are mechanized. So, for example, we have Australia, we have Canada. Here, yield per hectare is low, but yield per person is high. Then, what are the factors which are affecting this agriculture produce? So, it is the physiography, the climate, the soil, the weather, the socio-economic condition. Now, next, we will deal with two terms: agriculture productivity versus agriculture efficiency. So agriculture productivity focus on output to input ratio. It is measured in terms of quantity. It does not inherently consider sustainable or cost effective production. एग्रीकल्चर efficiency में क्या होता है? हम cost efficiency देखते हैं, हम उसके साथ साथ sustainability देखते हैं. तो अगर सस्टेनेबल फार्मिंग है और एफिशिएंट यूज ऑफ रिसोर्स है तो भले ही एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्टिविटी लो हो सकती है पर एग्रीकल्चर एफिशिएंसी हाई रहेगी. इसके अलावा एग्रीकल्चर एफिशिएंसी also takes into account economic, environmental as well as social impacts. So it has economic, it has environmental, it has social impact. इसमें social impact नहीं है, इसमें सिर्फ economic impact है. Environment भी एक तरह से इग्नोर ही है इसमें, है ना? Next topic is calculation of this agriculture productivity. So we have seen difference between agriculture productivity efficiency. What is agriculture productivity? What are the aspects of it? Now we will see how it is calculated. Calculation of agriculture productivity. So first method of calculating is the partial factor productivity. What we do is this method involves calculating productivity for individual inputs जैसे कि लैंड हो गया, लेबर हो गया, कैपिटल हो गया. तो सिर्फ इंडिविजुअल इनपुट से क्या प्रोडक्टिविटी हुआ है वो कैलकुलेट करते हैं. तो इसका बहुत सिंपल सा फॉर्मूला है दैट टोटल आउटपुट डिवाइडेड बाय इनपुट क्वांटिटी. कितना, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल मान लो कि 100 केजीज इज द आउटपुट. कितने लेबर लगाए थे? 10 लेबर लगाए थे. सो दैट वेज. तो इसको बोलते हैं पार्शियल फैक्टर प्रोडक्टिविटी. देन अनदर फॉर्मूला, एक स्टेप इससे आगे जाते हैं तो इट इज टोटल फैक्टर प्रोडक्टिविटी. सो इट कंसिडर्स ऑल इनपुट कलेक्टिवली rather इंडिविजुअली. तो इसमें जो कैलकुलेशन होती है वो रेशियो ऑफ टोटल आउटपुट टू टोटल इनपुट होती है. तो दिस मेथड इज बेसिकली मोर कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव क्योंकि इट अकाउंट्स फॉर इंटरेक्शन बिटवीन डिफरेंट इनपुट्स आल्सो. सो इसमें हम लोग टोटल आउटपुट बाय टोटल इनपुट डायरेक्ट ऐसे लिखते हैं. देन एक जसबीर सिंह मेथड है. जसबीर सिंह मेथड. अब ये क्या है? तो जसबीर सिंह मेथड says that agricultural productivity is the summation of the product of output of production of the crop and its market price, from which we will deduct the cost of production. तो इनका फॉर्मूला ये होता है कि जो एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्टिविटी है इनके अकॉर्डिंग, दैट इज समेशन ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट आउटपुट, कितना टोटल आपने प्रोड्यूस किया, मल्टीप्लाइड बाय उसका मार्केट प्राइस क्या है, एंड इसमें से फिर हम जो कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन आया है वो सब्सट्रैक्ट कर देते हैं. सो दिस इज बेसिकली योर एग्रीकल्चरल आउटपुट. देन एक और मेथड है जिसको हम कहते हैं केंडाल्स. केंडाल्स रैंकिंग कोएफिशिएंट मेथड. नाउ this method is based on statistical techniques and ये मेथड जो है ग्लोबली ज़्यादा एक्सेप्टेबल है. तो फर्स्ट इट वाज अप्लाइड इन 1991 and then again in 2005. So what do we do is in this method a region is divided into units and the total number of crop grown in the given region is enumerated. जैसे मानो कि एक इतना बड़ा लैंड का टुकड़ा है. तो सबसे पहले हम इस रीजन नाम रख देते हैं इसका रीजन एक्स. इस एक्स रीजन को ना डिवाइड कर लेंगे फर्दर स्मॉल यूनिट्स में. अब जैसे हमारे पास 5 क्रॉप्स हैं. राइस है, व्हीट है, अ, बाजरा है, मेज है, कॉटन है. सपोज हाइपोथेटिकल एग्जांपल है. तो अब मैं रीजन x1, x2, x3, x4, x5, x6 ऐसे करके सारे रीजन के नाम दे दूंगा. अब ये जो रीजन x1 है मैं इसकी रेट इसमें रैंकिंग देखूंगा कि फॉर एग्जांपल राइस में ये रीजन क्या रैंक करता है. सो इट कम्स फर्स्ट इन राइस प्रोडक्शन. इन सारे रीजन से ज्यादा सबसे ज्यादा हाईएस्ट यही है प्रोड्यूसर. देन मान लो कि ये राइस का हो गया. देन फिर वीट. अब वीट में मान लो कि ये जो x6 वाला पार्ट है दिस इज फर्स्ट मतलब सबसे ज्यादा प्रोड्यूस यही करता है. और सेकंड नंबर पे आता है अपना x1 वाला रीजन. तो फर्स्ट हमने राइस की रेटिंग लिखी 1, फिर वीट की रेटिंग क्या है इसकी सेकंड. ऐसे ही करके सारे क्रॉप्स की रेटिंग. तो टोटल एक आर थर्ड क्रॉप प्लस आर फोर्थ क्रॉप प्लस एक लास्ट जो भी फिफ्थ क्रॉप में जो भी इसकी रेटिंग है, इसको हम डिवाइड कर देंगे टोटल नंबर ऑफ क्रॉप से. तो ये हो गया जो हमारा रैंक है उस रीजन का कोई भी पर्टिकुलर क्रॉप के लिए डिवाइडेड बाय नंबर ऑफ क्रॉप. तो एक इंडेक्स वैल्यू आएगा. अब सपोज करो कि जैसे रैंकिंग होती सेकंड है एक्स वाई जी कमोडिटी में, फिर एक कमोडिटी में 7 है, फिर 3 है कहीं, फिर सेकंड है, फिर 1 है. तो हम इसको लेते डिवाइडेड बाय 5 करते. तो 10 15 आंसर आता हमारा 3. तो इफ इंडेक्स वैल्यू इज लोअर तो वी कैन से दैट द प्रोडक्टिविटी और द एफिशिएंसी इज greater. And if the index value is higher, then we'll say that the efficiency or the productivity is on the declining side or on the worst side. So इंडियन सिनेरियो देखें तो 1991 में इंडिया वाज डिवाइडेड इनटू 80 such regions and we had 8 crops. But फिर 2005 में the crops were increased and the region were increased to 120 and the crops increased to 11 crops. So based on this, we have classified the regions and we have classified the crops. So this is the region, this is the classification on the basis of the indexation. What is the coefficient? So suppose this is coefficient, this is classification. Then cropping intensity at that place, and what is the average yield per hectare for food crop? This is basically the productivity. So we have divided India into 120 regions and 11 crops. Now ये वाला जो मैंने बताया था किंडाल का ये मेथड, इस मेथड में किंडाल ने इस इंडेक्स के बेसिस पे ना 5 क्लासिफिकेशन दिए थे। रीजन 1, 2, 3, 4, 5। वही 5 क्लासिफिकेशन हम अप्लाई करते हैं इंडिया के केस में भी। फॉर दैट मैटर, फॉर एनी केस, दिस इज 3, 4, 5। So what is it? Region 1. So region 1 is classified as very high productivity. The coefficient here is less than 75. The coefficient means this index value. Wherever the index value is less than 75, it is very highly classified. Cropping intensity for such region is more than 175. Or produce में they have around 2500 kgs and above it. Likely we have region 2, we have region 3, region 4, region 5. This is high, this is moderate, this is low, this is very low. For high, the coefficient is 75 to 90. For moderate, it's 90 to 105. For low, it's between 105 and 125. And above, anything above 125, that is your very low classified. Then the cropping intensity here is in high is 160 to 175. Then it further falls to 140 to 160 in moderate one, 120 to 140 in the low region, and less than 120 in the very low regions. Likewise, एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस देखें तो हाई में 2000 से लेके 2500 तक है in terms of kgs I'm talking, and the average is the yield per hectare for a food crop. मीडियम में 1500 से 2000 है, लो में 1000 से 1500 kg तक है, and for very low it is around 1000 kg or even lesser than this. Now, when this classification is implied on India, we get 5 zones. So, suppose this is a rough map of India. Now we have region 1. So, in region 1, we have the Punjab and Haryana plains. We have the Punjab and Haryana plains, the Ganganagar, Hanumangarh districts. We have the, why it's not working? I don't know why it's not working. It should work. Just give me a second. So yeah, suppose this is the region 1. Then in region 2, we have some river valleys of peninsular India. Then we have eastern coastal plains. Then we have northern parts of Bengal. Then we have the middle Gangetic plains. Then we have the Malabar coast. In region 3, we have, just let me change the color. In region 3, we have the Chhattisgarh basin. Along with Chhattisgarh basin, we have some river basins of Maharashtra also. Then apart from this, we have the Middle Gangetic Plains in the third region. Then coming on to the fourth region, इसमें we have areas of Jharkhand, areas of eastern Rajasthan. Then we also have areas of rain shadow plateau of South India, the Telangana region. And lastly, in the fifth region, we have Jammu Kashmir region, we have Ladakh region, we have the Himalayan belt, we have the western Rajasthan. So this is basically the division of India on the basis of agriculture productivity. Now next topic is agriculture, cropping intensity. Next we will see cropping intensity. So as we all know कि that there is a increasing population in India और उसी के साथ साथ फूड का और एग्रीकल्चर का डिमांड भी इंक्रीज हो रहा है. तो व्हाट आर द सॉल्यूशंस इस डिमांड जो फूड और एग्रीकल्चर की इंक्रीज हो रही है इसको फुलफिल करने के लिए हमारे पास क्या सॉल्यूशंस हैं? दो ही सॉल्यूशंस होते हैं. इधर वी शुड एक्सपांड द नेट एरिया अंडर कल्टीवेशन. सॉल्यूशंस एक्सपांड नेट एरिया अंडर कल्टीवेशन. अब इसमें दिक्कत ये है, चलो वो मैं बाद में बताऊंगा. और सेकंड इज इंटेंसिफाई क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न्स. अब इसमें दिक्कत ये है कि सिंस इंडिपेंडेंस वी हैव एक्सपांडेड दिस टू अराउंड 20%, and this is the maximum limit. It has reached the bar, it has reached the maximum possible expansion level. तो हमारे पास ऑप्शन ही इन टोटल बेस्ड है कि क्रॉपिंग इंटेंसिटी ही इंटेंसिफाई ही करना पड़ेगा क्रॉपिंग पैटर्न को, और ओवर एग्जिस्टिंग एरिया ही करना पड़ेगा क्योंकि न्यू एरिया हम ऐड नहीं कर सकते. नाउ व्हाट इज दिस क्रॉपिंग इंटेंसिटी और intensifying cropping? So basically, this refers to raising a number of crops from the same field during one agriculture year. Suppose this is a field. In one agriculture year, you can grow either just one crop. Suppose you grow rice. So you have grown only rice. Suppose 100 kg. Now instead of doing this, once you have grown rice, then switch to wheat. Grow some wheat also. So this way you will grow some wheat. Suppose 50 kg wheat. Then another crop also you can grow after some interval in the same year. So some pulse you can grow. So suppose you have grown some pulse, that also give you some output. So instead of getting only 100 kg of produce, now what you will get? You will get 175 kg. This is a hypothetical example just to clarify the concept. So basically इसमें number of crops को हम ज़्यादा रेस करते हैं सेम फील्ड, याद रखना सेम फील्ड पे सेम एग्रीकल्चर ईयर में क्रॉप्स ज़्यादा हमें रेस करनी है. डिफरेंट भी हो सकती हैं, सेम भी हो सकती हैं. तो क्रॉपिंग इंटेंसिटी का जो फॉर्मूला होता है दैट इज ग्रॉस क्रॉप्ड एरिया, दैट इज दिस टोटल एरिया डिवाइडेड बाय नेट सोन एरिया, दैट इज फर्स्ट फर्स्ट टाइम all these crops were grown, then you changed and grown some another crops, then you changed and grown some third variety of crops. So that is the net sown area and divided by, oh sorry, multiply it by 100. That gives you the cropping intensity. Basically, higher cropping intensity means higher proportion of net area is being cropped more than once during one agriculture year. So it implies higher productivity per unit of arable land per year. इंडिया में अगर देखें तो जो सीआई है दैट इज ऑन एन एवरेज 137.3%. अब स्टेट स्पेसिफिक अगर देखेंगे तो अगेन एक छोटा सा मैप ड्रॉ करेंगे. रफ मैप है, छोटा सा एक मैप ड्रॉ किया. अगर मणिपुर, मिजोरम, या नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स को देखते हैं तो यहाँ पे ये 100% है एवरेज। अगर हरियाणा पंजाब साइड जाओगे तो इट इज अराउंड 180%। वेस्ट बंगाल में देखोगे इट इज 181%। सिक्किम यू विल सी इट इज 186%। तो एक वेरिएशन तो है। पंजाब में तो देखोगे तो पंजाब अलोन इज 200%। दिल्ली पंजाब दोनों 200 पार है। सो ओवरऑल इंडिया में 14 स्टेट्स एंड यूनियन टेरिटरीज में वी हैव दिस सीआई हायर देन द average of India, the national average. So this was the concept of your cropping intensity. Now we will deal with a very important pointer of a syllabus, that is the agriculture programs and agriculture modernization in India. So agriculture programs and agriculture modernization. So objective of agriculture development and expansion in India was, first, we should become food self-sufficient and self-reliance. Then we must meet up the national nutritional health requirements. Then commercial profitability must be there for farmers. And there should be diversification of agriculture, diversification of food produce. And most importantly, the agriculture should be sustainable because faulty agriculture leads to disaster. So we have seen that agriculture is a very important component of India's development objective because the depressed and backward regions and the people living below poverty line, people who are small farmers and marginal farmers, they all are mostly in the agrarian society, in the agrarian circle. So pre-independence, uh, during the colonial time, we had agricultural exploitation. What do you mean by agriculture exploitation? We have system of zamindar, we have system of yeah, permanent settlement system. We had uh, the Rayatwari or the Malwari system, and the consequences of these were there were famines, there were deaths, there were disasters. Then what happened post-independence? Now, post-independence, due to all these reasons, agriculture was our high priority. So we focused on removal of this intermediary. Then in the colonial time, the focus was on cash crop because it benefited colonial government. We tried to remove this thing. Then the land issues. There were high rent on land in the colonial time. After post-independence, we tried to bring this thing down as much as possible, and therefore we deregulated. We deregulated agriculture. So deregulated agriculture. What happened because of that? The area expanded. The area under agriculture expanded. Then there was a revival of agriculture. People who left agriculture due to this region now went back to villages and started farming again. So there was a revival of agriculture. Apart from this, famines were addressed. There was efficient food production. So India adopted a deliberate, imbalanced development strategy. Therefore, we focused on capital intensive industrial development. Now, what happened is by second 5-year plan. So, when the second 5-year plan was ending, we faced war with China in 1961. We also faced droughts, and we were facing threats of famine. So, these two things, droughts and famines, which जिसका जिसका हमने सारा श्रेय कॉलोनियल गवर्नमेंट पे डाला था एक टाइम की, इन लोगों की वजह से ये सब हो रहा है। अब ये हमारे रूल के अंदर भी हो रहा था, तो दिस वाज ह्यूमिलिएशन। अब हुआ क्या इसमें, द सिचुएशन गॉट वर्स व्हेन इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस में we had non-alignment स्टैंड। तो PL 480 करके हमने अमेरिका से खाने के लिए इंपोर्ट किया। एंड दिस इज वेयर द कंडीशन जो परिभाषा हो गई ह्यूमिलिएशन। एंड इन दिस बैकग्राउंड comes the green revolution. It is basically 1966 when India launched green revolution. Officially it was known as high yield variety program. So it was basically a pilot project. So what was our strategy? Our strategy was to replace the traditional seeds with high yielding variety or hybrid seeds. Then we focused on areas where income, agriculture investment yield can give fast outcomes. We focused on grains. Then, therefore, it was a because we were focusing on grains. Therefore, we can say that it was a crisis management approach. It was not a long-term program. Instead, it was a crisis management approach to encounter and tackle these crises. Then what happened? There were positive outcomes of green revolution. Our PDS system got success. Famines got averted. We had agriculture and food grain surplus around from, if you see the growth, it went to 200 million tons from 50 tons. So it's almost 3-4 times more. Then due to this, rural infrastructure also developed. The irrigation got developed, the transportation line got developed, the farm storage facility got developed, marketing uh, was now popular. The farmers got marketing access. Then agriculture was now recognized as a essential element of sovereignty. Also, our productivity increased. So it increased almost 3 times. And if you see is specific for wheat, so it increased 4 times. But there were also some negative consequences of this revolution. Regional disparities developed. So there was a extreme focus on wheat and rice. Rest crops were left behind. So this is against the principle of diversification of agriculture. Then there were regional diversity. हरियाणा पंजाब वाला एरिया तो बेनिफिट हुआ, but what about the southern states? What about the central Indian states? Or what about the farmers of these regions? Then इसके अलावा environmental issues भी हुए. Environmental issues में we had groundwater table depletion. In Haryana and Punjab, it depleted almost 400 uh, times more than what it used to be. Then fertilizer and pesticides contamination also happened. Then we also faced soil salinization issues also. And this unsustainable economics leading to a unsustainable pricing policy also. So MSP unfortunately became a political tool, and the seeds of it becoming a political tool is somewhere sown in this time period only. And hence we said that today we need rationalization in MSP. We don't need abolition. I'm not saying about abolition, but rationalization. So we can say that green revolution served the purpose, but currently reforms are needed. Reforms like ownership reform, reforms in market, reforms in government policies, etc. So this was the first agriculture program and our shift towards modern modernization of agriculture. Or then the second is dryland farming. And what is this dryland farming? First, before knowing this, you need to know something about India. That India, on an average, so it is a wet country. But if you look at the reality, Our reality is that apart from this fact that India is a by and large wet country on average, the facts are that more than two-thirds of India is an arid and semi-arid area where the rainfall is less than 75 centimeter. Then India also has dominance of mountains and highlands, and which is fairly restricting the effectiveness of the our traditional irrigation system. Then we have a unreliable monsoon, the variability. So more than 75% of monsoon has a variability of around 25% or more. So this is very risky. That's why we said that we also often hear this phrase that agriculture is a gamble on monsoon. Then our net sown area is 140 million hectare, which is 45% of our reported area. And our ultimate irrigation potential is 120-130 million hectare, whereas our net irrigated area is only 60. So you see, the gross sown area is 140. Our ultimate irrigation potential is 130. What actually is the net irrigated area? It is 70. So you see how much difference is there. Almost half our irrigation capability, which is on ground, we are able to do is just half than what is the net sown area. So this is just implying that half of our cultivable land cannot have irrigation. But this being the fact, we cannot left it to have drought. So a type of agriculture system is required where agriculture can be profitable even in such rain-fed areas. And the agriculture can come out of the dependence on conventional irrigation and water management practices. And to do this, the what we require is dry land farming. So dry regions eligible for dry land farming accounts for 100% millets, 90% pulses, 40% rice, bulk of cotton, pottery, valuable cash crop, etc. And hence they are critical to our agriculture diversification. Now, what are the constituent, the components of dryland farming? First is crop selection, second is water use, then third is supporting farmers. Now, what do I mean by crop selection? Do not grow water intensive crops. Do not grow them in drought regions. Then create drought resistance crop. So we must have dry variety of sugarcane or rice. We should grow millets. We should grow pulses. They are dry crops. Um, sorry, they are drought resistant crops. Then water use. Water use may we can have rainwater harvesting system like we can have Johad, we can have Kuls, we can have Kunds, we can have Bawdis. Then we can schedule our sowing and harvesting period with proper forecast so we can efficiently use the rainwater. Then timely field development is required. Then micro irrigation also plays an important role. Use of sprinkler, use of drip irrigation because you don't have much water in these areas. Then we can use methods like contour bunding. It is kind of tree rain plowing. We call it as pulverization. Pulverization. And at last, we need to support farmer beyond agriculture. So we need to provide him income alternatives. We need to provide employment generation. As agriculture is facing the issues of disguised unemployment, we need to give them employment other than agriculture. Then, to protect their crop, we must provide them crop insurance. So, approaches in dryland farming can be agroclimatic farming, agroclimatic farming, and it can also be watershed based approach. These are the two approaches. I will explain these two in detail afterwards. But for now, just remember these two are the approaches which can be used for dryland farming. Now, next program or the next initiative which we had was White Revolution. So remember, all this is not for us to do now. ये सब हम कर चुके हैं पहले. ये भी हमने किया है, ये भी हमने किया है. ऐसा नहीं कि ये हमें करना है, ये वे फॉरवर्ड नहीं है, ये ऑलरेडी हो चुका है. ये प्रोग्राम ड्राईलैंड फार्मिंग वाला हमने ट्राई किया था. बात ये कि उतनी सक्सेस नहीं मिली, तो अभी भी ये एप्लीकेबल है, अभी भी उतना ही वैलिड है ये. Then white revolution. Now what is white revolution? So it is also known as Operation, sorry, it is known as Operation Flood. So what happened to this thing? Let me just right. Okay. So white revolution, officially known as Operation Flood in the 1970s by uh, Dr. Varghese Kurian. So basically, this is around lines of green revolution only. So traditionally, India had mixed agriculture, which included non-crops. Now, what the point is, ki livestock, egg production, milk production, fisheries, these are all integral to all-round sustainable agriculture development of India. अब क्यों integral है? Why is livestock and milk production important? So, why it's important? So, because first, food security, second, nutritional security, third, agriculture diversification, fourth, non-crop income, and somewhere these two are basically supporting small farmer, marginal farmer, and landless farmers. And this is also relevant in the dryland farming areas. So, India has the world largest livestock population. Approximately, we have around 15% livestock population, a range of livestock breed. We have indigenous milch like Gir, Red Sim. We also have buffaloes like Murrah, Jafarwadi, Bahadwari, which accounts to 45% of our milk production. We also have variations of Zebu. But the issue, जो issue यहाँ पे हो रहा है वो ये है कि जितने भी the amount of breeds we have, तो इंडस्ट्रियल प्रोडक्शन उतना फाइनेंशियली वाइबल है नहीं इन ब्रीड्स के साथ. क्योंकि मोस्टली ये जो जेबू ब्रीड है ना, मतलब या तो इस ये जो ब्रीड है, इस ब्रीड के जितने भी वेरिएंट्स है ना, दैट आर नॉट एज इफेक्टिव, मतलब इतने प्रोडक्टिव है नहीं ये. तो इस वजह से, इसकी वजह से ही जो इंडस्ट्रियल प्रोडक्शन है वो उतना फाइनेंशियल वाइबल है नहीं हमारे लिए. तो अब इसके लिए क्या किया हमने, इसके लिए जो हमने किया उसी को बोलते हैं ऑपरेशन फ्लड या वाइट रेवोल्यूशन. हमने स्ट्रैटेजी बनाई. तो हमारी स्ट्रैटेजी क्या थी? पहले तो ये हो गया कि जो हमारा लोकल और इंडिजिनस ब्रीड है, दैट इज नॉट फाइनेंशियली viable for industrial production. Then what we did, we made a strategy. We introduced hybrid varieties. We used foreign temperate breeds like Heston, Friesen, Jersey, and so foreign breeds and cooperatives. So these three became our strategic pillars of white revolution, and we got good outcomes. Outcomes were in within 1 decade, our milk production saw growth of 15 times. India became the largest milk producer, and commercialization of entire supply chain was seen. From chilling plants to marketing, everything was commercialized. And it was unlike the benefit of it is, unlike the Green Revolution, it was not, uh, what do we say? It was not confined to a particular location or particular region, which caused regional disparity. It was replicated in all the states, pan India. It was a huge success. And the most important thing is 70% of beneficiaries of this program were small farmers, landless farmer, marginal farmers. So unlike Green Revolution, it had great success. And what do we say? Uh, the reason for the successful was grassroots level implementation and grassroots level participation of villages and the farmers. So we see only one limitation in this, that was neglect of indigenous breed. And more or less, this issue has now been catered under the your Rashtriya Gokul mission. So overall, we can say that White Revolution was a huge success. Then a next revolution was Blue Revolution. Blue Revolution. Now, what happened in this Blue Revolution? So, India has a very high potential. Why? Why do I say that? Because we have a very large coastline. We have a very large coastline. We have extensive network of rivers. We have inland waterways, inland water bodies. We have lakes. So we have a potential in the fishery sector. And fishery is a part of mixed agriculture in India. Fishery is part of mixed agriculture in India. So what does fishery provides us? So fishery gives us agriculture diversification. It provides us income diversification, and it not can it gives us nutritional security. You see, omega 3, we have fish oil, we have calcium, iodine, all are sourced from fisheries. So this was a much required revolution, ताकि हम जो हमारा ये पोटेंशियल है फिशरीज में, ये इसको हम इसका मैक्सिमम बेनिफिट उठा सकें. अब इसका मैक्सिमम बेनिफिट उठाने के लिए हमने क्या किया? पहले तो मैं स्ट्रैटेजी बताता हूँ. पहले ऑब्जेक्टिव देख लेते हैं. सो आवर ऑब्जेक्टिव्स ऑफ दिस ब्लू रेवोल्यूशन वाज एक्सपोर्ट प्रोस्पेक्ट्स अपना इंक्रीज होना चाहिए, डाइवर्सिफिकेशन हो एग्रीकल्चर प्रोडक्ट का भी और फार्मर्स इनकम का भी. इसी के साथ इनकम जनरेशन ऑटोमेटिकली हो जाएगी. देन न्यूट्रिशनल सिक्योरिटी प्रोवाइड करें और फूड सिक्योरिटी प्रोवाइड करें. तो ये हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव था ना. इस ऑब्जेक्टिव को फुलफिल करने के लिए हमारी स्ट्रैटेजी क्या थी? सो आर स्ट्रैटेजी वाज अगेन on the lines of what we did in the earlier two revolutions. Introduction of hybrid technology, introduction of fish feed, introduction of technology for artificial rearing tanks. Apart from this, we also focused on the credit system because loans and credit are required in this as it is the investment intensive field. The fishery is an intensive investment field. The aquaculture requires large amount of investment because you need to have these tanks. These artificial rearing tanks cost crores of rupees. So we have to provide some strategy for providing loans and credit to the farmers. So we focused on both. We focused on introduction of hybrid technologies, hybrid this thing, your technology for artificial rearing, varieties of fishes, and also the credit system. Now, what was the issue here? So, issue here was as it was more investment intensive, unlike the previous revolutions, success, only the rich farmers got success here. So, success was rewarded to only rich farmers, and it defeated the purpose. We wanted to support our small farmers, marginal farmers, landless farmers, but they can't afford a tank rupees 2 crores, 3 crores. It's not within their monetary limits. So they were sidelined. Then there was another issue, which is environmental issue. So this was economic or you can say social issue. Now another which I am telling is environmental issue. The brackish aquaculture dominated and it overshadowed the whole program. Now, what happens in brackish water? Uh, in brackish, basically, the brackish water aquaculture, it focuses more on crabs, lobsters, squids, tiger prawns और जो फिशेस भी हैं तो ये सब न्यूट्रिशनल सिक्योरिटी इंश्योर करते हैं फूड सिक्योरिटी इंश्योर करते हैं सारे बेनिफिट्स इनके हैं फिशरी वाले इवन उससे ज्यादा है बट हो क्या रहा है इनकी वैल्यू ज्यादा है तो ये सब एक्सपोर्ट में चले जाते हैं तो ना तो हम लोगों तक न्यूट्रिशन पहुंचा पा रहे हैं ना उनकी फूड सिक्योरिटी न्यूट्रिशनल सिक्योरिटी इंश्योर कर पा रहे हैं और ना ही हम फार्मर्स के लिए कुछ कर पा रहे हैं क्योंकि इसमें तो मोटा पैसा लगता है सो ओनली द rich farmers and the large farmers and the large businessmen can afford to invest in this. So this was another cause. Then also one of the environmental issue also that then when you do this tank rearing wala thing, no. So to maintain a tank, you need to put some chemicals inside it because you are artificially rearing the fishes, so you need to put chemicals inside it. After a period of time, what happens? You need to change this water. ये हमेशा फिशेस इसमें नहीं रह सकती. You need to bring in fresh water. फ्रेश वाटर के लिए आप क्या कर रहे हो पहले तो आप जो कैनाल जा रहा है या जो रिवर जा रही है यू आर टेकिंग द फ्रेश वाटर फ्रॉम इट सो वाटर इंटेंसिव भी हो गया ये कि अब बहुत सारा पानी इसमें लग रहा है एंड अदर डिसएडवांटेजेस इसका जो केमिकल वाला पानी था यू आर इसको आप जो है वापस यू आर रिलीजिंग इट बैक इनटू द rivers or maybe on the plain surface from where it is percolating into the groundwater. So this has caused salinization, poor quality of soil. It has impacted the food chain. We have issues of biomagnification. So these were the issues regarding this. And obviously we can say that it is a failure because the purpose in itself was defeated. The brackish water aquaculture is an environmental disaster. Nutrition angle failed because of exports, and there was a neglect of small, marginal, and landless farmers. So you can say it was the least success among green revolution and white revolution. And also our marine fishery prospect remained untapped, or you can say it was least tapped. So this was it for this topic. Now, our next topic will be objective of agriculture development. What is the objective of agriculture development and modernization? Why do we need modernization? So agriculture is important and can be and is the backbone of Indian development. Not can be, but it is the backbone of Indian development. So agriculture, backbone of Indian development, and technology is a very important component. But the but we should keep in mind technology being an important component should not replace the labor. So it should be labor sensitive and environmental friendly technology. And it must increase the food production and help us to diversify our agriculture field. So therefore we need technology for few things like we need technology for weather forecast, we need technology for agriculture processing, we need it for water management, we need it for irrigation system, we need for developing new variety of seeds. So this is why we need agriculture modernization. Now, what are the key challenges of Indian agriculture? So the major key challenges water deficit. So there are water issues because most of our land is arid and semi-arid, two-third area that is arid and semi-arid. So now to overcome this problem, what can be the solution? Solution lies in the conventional irrigation system plus development of rain-fed agriculture and also dryland farming. Now one by one we will look upon the conventional irrigation system. For example, we have canal, we have tank. So we will deal them in a comprehensive manner. We have wells also. So yeah, moving on to the next one. So starting with canal, canal irrigation. So let us study the structure of uh, how a canal is working. So first in the chain comes the storage head. Then from here the water will move. We have convention systems, and finally it will reach to application field. That is not important. That is not much important. Now, talking about canals, canals are extensive system. They are very large infrastructure and therefore cost intensive, and also they are less efficient. Why I'm saying less efficient? Because the water application efficiency is less than 30%. Also, canals are complex and they require a lot of coordination. Why I'm saying that they are complex? Complex because the working should be proper with regular maintenance. Then क्योंकि यहाँ पे बार बार siltation के issues होते हैं. Then on-farm development, that is land leveling and land grading, that is also a costly process to bring water from canal till the land. Because you see, in India, the land is not like this. It's not leveled. Generally, the field is having some depression, some ridges. To bring water equally through this route is very difficult. So to bring a canal, you need to first level up the land. So that is also an issue. Then application channels and systems must be constructed. That is also a complex process. Application channels and systems. So canal irrigation currently in India is 25%. And focus now is on using existing infrastructure efficiently rather than expanding, because you see there are many complexities in expanding this canal system. Even the maintenance of the existing one is a nasty task. Therefore, we are focusing on the existing canals and the use of them efficiently. Then another irrigation system where we have wells. Now, what are wells? They can be dug well, they can be tube well. Well is basically where you are using groundwater instead of storage head. In canal, you needed a storage head, a place where the water is stored. But in wells, you didn't know you don't need storage head. Instead, you are using groundwater. Therefore, conveyance is also not required. So, in the agriculture site itself, you can dig a well, and therefore they require field application channel. And due to this, the efficiency is around 60 to 70%. So this is a positive of well. Apart from this, what else are the positives? Very effective application, 60-70% is efficiency. It is convenient as you don't have to have storage head, and because you don't need to have storage head, you don't need money to uh, flatten or uh, what do we say? Invest on land leveling. So it is also cost effective, not as cost intensive as compared to the canal system. But still, wells also have some challenges of their own. What is the challenges? Not challenges of overuse, misuse of groundwater, salinization of land, and also groundwater is susceptible to pollution because बहुत सारा फर्टिलाइजर और पेस्टिसाइड यूज होता है. अब सपोज ये एक वेल है, इसमें से आपने पानी लिया, पानी में आपने पानी को आपने फील्ड पे डाला, फील्ड में आपने फर्टिलाइजर पेस्टिसाइड डाल दिया, पानी का फील्ड को यूज किया किया, बचा हुआ पानी जो फर्टिलाइजर्स के साथ है ये चला गया ग्राउंड वाटर में. अब यहाँ आप एक हैंडपम्प लगा के निकाल के पानी इसको यूज करोगे ड्रिंकिंग में, दिक्कत होगी ना भाई. यही पानी ग्राउंड वाटर में जब भर जाएगा ये ग्राउंड वाटर कंटामिनेशन कर देगा, फिर इस वेल में भी यही बेकार पानी आने लगेगा. फिर जब आप इसको एग्रीकल्चर में डालोगे ये फील्ड खराब हो जाएगी. सो एक विशियस सर्कल है. सो ये इश्यूज हैं. सो इसीलिए हम कहते हैं कि ग्राउंड वाटर ना शुड बी यूज्ड एज अ रिजर्व, नॉट रिसोर्स. ग्राउंड वाटर मस्ट बी यूज्ड एज रिजर्व, नॉट रिसोर्स. देन ये वेल हो गया. वेल के बाद वी हैव टैंक्स. टैंक्स में वी हैव आर्टिफिशियल टैंक्स, we have rainwater storage systems. So these are most effective in places where rocks are impervious, and they are more popular in the Deccan Plateau. क्योंकि आप डेटा भी देखोगे ना, तो जो इंडिया के टोटल टैंक्स हैं उसमें से 70% टैंक्स आर confined to आंध्र प्रदेश, तेलंगाना एंड तमिलनाडु alone. But currently tanks are on the declining side. They are the best, and I can say they are the most environmental friendly option if we look at the conventional options. So the issue with tank was that to construct a tank, no, you require involvement of panchayat or the your gram sabha. Now the major problem with this body is they have financial crunch. So because they have financial crunch, they cannot allot money to build tanks. So this is one of the issue with tank irrigation. And therefore, we can see that in today's time, contemporary time, tanks are on a declining trend. So we have seen these three options. We have seen canal irrigation, we have seen well irrigation, we have seen tank. Now these three have some issues. So how India can expand its irrigation option? So we have 4 5 points of how we can expand. First is we should focus on existing infrastructure, which was also the core theme of our command area development program. This I'll tell you afterwards. Then we can have regulations in well irrigation. Then we can have planning in irrigation from streams to avoid conflict resolution. Because you see, this is one state, upper riparian state, lower riparian state. There is always dispute regarding the water use of the river. So we can plan and avoid this conflict. Now you see, when two states can fight, being part of the same nation, for a resource, what would you expect for a person who has a piece of land here and another person who has a piece of land here? Won't they fight to get this water? And if he's taking much of the water, what about those who are at the last of the line? Will the water reach this person's field? There will always be a conflict between these two, and this will always lead to rise of social inequalities also, apart from economic inequalities. So we need to fix this conflict. Then wise use of underground water or wise use of groundwater. Then use of rainwater harvesting system. We can have micro irrigation system like sprinklers, drip irrigation, which you are also using in the dryland farming. So these are some of the pointers which we can use to expand India's irrigation option. Now, our next topic is agriculture institutional factor, another important topic in the syllabus. Agriculture institutional factors. So, what are the agriculture institutional factors? Classifying it in two, rather, is it three? So, agriculture में what are the factors involved in agriculture? Agriculture में we have natural factors or what we can say geographical factors. This can be your soil, this can be your climate, this can be your rain. Then you can have human man-made factor. What is this? This is the technology. This is the infrastructure. Infrastructure you can have canal technology, you can have hybrid seeds, fertilizers, machines, mechanization, and all that. Apart from these two we have seen, I think, very comprehensively. Apart from these, we also have institutional factors. Now, what are these institutional factors? This can be your land rent, your ownership, your inheritance, land holding का size क्या है? Size of the land holding. अब what happened is the colonial rule na distorted these institutional factors. So in the land during the colonial rule, we have issues of land ownership. We have issues in land tenant and tiller relationship issues were there. The land rents were extremely high. We have land size issues, fragmentation. So colonial rule distorted. We can safely say that it distorted the institutional factors. Therefore, post-independence, the most important intervention by our Indian government were those related to correcting these exploitative structure, because this structure was designed to be very exploitative, as it was benefiting the colonial governments. So our propaganda, our goal was to bring reform in all of these factors. So what were the steps taken by us? So the most famous, you all might have heard this also, is we bought land reforms. We brought land reforms. What we did in land reforms? We abolished the intermediaries. They were abolished. So officially they were eliminated, though we have still unofficially some of cases of intermediaries still prevailing in India, but officially, more or less, we have abolished them. Then we had tenancy reforms. What we did in tenancy reform? We reduced the land rent. Then we gave the land's right to the tiller, and we focused on providing that there must be no arbitrary eviction from land. So the farmer must not be treated as a bonded labor. This was basically the core principles behind our tenancy reform. Apart from this, what else we had in land reform? These are the just two things. What else we did? We did land settling and redistribution. Now this was important. So we had socialistic objective, but because land is a state subject, no, it did not happen uniformly across India. So obviously the central government is different, the state government is different. Wherever the governments in the center and state are same, things happen smoothly. But because as the land is state subject, the government of the center and state being same, still उसमें issues आते हैं. So this you can say that it was a almost a failure only. So why we are saying that it was a failure? You see, four classification of farmers we have. We have marginal, we have small, we have medium farmer, we have large farmer. This is who's having less than 1 hectare land. This is who's having 1 to 2 hectare land. This is who is having 2 to 10 hectare land. This is someone who's having more than 10 hectare land. Now these two consist 70% of Indian farmer, and these three consist 85%. So you can see that fundamental reason in agriculture poverty, urban migration, farmer distress, and all such phenomena is this disparity in distribution. Uneconomical large holding also leads to wastages and fallow of cultivable land. So this person who's having so much of land, he won't cultivate full land at a time. Maybe he might cultivate, but most probably he might use only this much area for himself, this much area for selling, and the rest is wasted. So land sealing, which was a strategy of R, you can see that it has failed. So लैंड सीलिंग में हमने क्या किया था? लैंड सीलिंग एक्ट लाए थे कि a particular uh, a particular limit was set कि आप इतना ही लैंड ओन कर सकते हो. लोगों ने क्या किया? अब जैसे मान लो इसके किसी के पास इतना लैंड का टुकड़ा है, गवर्नमेंट ने लिमिट कर दिया कि आप इतना ही ओन कर सकते हो। उसने ये रेस्ट टुकड़े अपने फैमिली के दूसरे मेंबर के नाम पे शो कर दिए। ऑन पेपर वो बच गया, बट डिड इट सर्व द पर्पस? नो, इट डिडंट सर्व द पर्पस। कई स्टेट्स में, क्योंकि स्टेट सब्जेक्ट है ये लैंड, ये लागू ही नहीं हुआ। क्यों लागू नहीं हुआ? क्योंकि इमेजिन 1950s 1960s, द पीपल हु वर सिटिंग इन द पार्लियामेंट वर हु? क्या वो गरीब लोग थे क्या? In the state legislative assembly, the people who were sitting were quite rich. They were the farmers. They were, in fact, the Indian zamindars, landlords. Why will they pass such an act which will take their own property, their own wealth? So our land ceiling failed, and it failed miserably. Another thing, uh, another land reform which we did was land consolidation. Now, what is this land consolidation? So to deal with fragmented land, so suppose this was a land of person X. Now he has two child, A and B. So he divided this land into two, for A, for B. Now further, A and B have two children. So they'll divide this land into two for their two children. Now those two children again have few kids. So ultimately, after generation and generation, the land holding size will become small. Land will become fragmented, and this will lead to high inequality in land ownership. So what happens when there is a holding size fragmented, no, size of operational plots gets reduced, and currently it is less than 1 hectare, and almost 70% of agricultural land is 1 acre and less. Land holding, 70% of land holding is 1 acre and less. It is also the consequence of the inheritance law. So land consolidation, you can say that it was a fair success, but primarily the only challenge is poor land record and poor assessment of land quality, due to which we were not able to consolidate the land उतना जितना हमने सोचा था, बिकॉज लैंड रिकॉर्ड ही नहीं है। पता ही नहीं ये लैंड है किसकी। डिस्प्यूट चलते रहते हैं, कोर्ट में केसेस पेंडिंग है। कैसे इसको कंसोलिडेट करें जब पता ही नहीं ओनर कौन है? लैंड क्वालिटी बेकार है, कंसोलिडेट करके करेंगे क्या? Then another measure was cooperative farming. This was by and large a good step, but somehow failed. I'll tell you why it failed. So, establishment of agriculture cooperative industry. So we had two type of cooperative farming. First we had land cooperative, then we have agriculture produce cooperative. What we do in land cooperative is, suppose one, two, three, four. Now these are 4% growing in their field separately. Now what these four will do, they'll club their land together. So अब होगा क्या, जो फर्टिलाइजर्स चारों अलग अलग यूज कर रहे थे, एक ही स्ट्रीम ऑफ फर्टिलाइजर चारों में यूज हो जाएगा। जो पानी यूज कर रहे थे, एक ही स्ट्रीम चारों खेतों में चला जाएगा, और मिल के कॉस्ट कम आएगी और प्रोडक्शन ज्यादा होगा। तो दिस इज जहाँ पे आप अपना लैंड जो है उसको यूज करते हो। एग्रीकल्चर प्रोड्यूस कोऑपरेटिव क्या है कि, जैसे अमूल का एग्जांपल है, अ मिल्कमैन इज सेलिंग मिल्क, अनदर मिल्कमैन इज सेलिंग मिल्क, another milkman is selling this. Instead of selling separately and uh, cutting down the profits of each other and giving competition, they'll all club their produce. So he had 1 liter milk, he had 1 liter milk, he had 1 liter milk. Maybe someday he can sell 1 liter, he cannot. And that day his produce also will get wasted and he won't have income. So what will they do? They'll come into a cooperative. They'll club their production. Now they have 3 liters of milk. And now this is the only seller in the market. and he'll sell the 3 liter milk to the households, and they'll earn profits, and then these profits will be distributed proportionally to these farmers. That is more effective. So it is basically the cooperative farming works on the principle of collaborating, the principle of scaling up benefits, the scaling of production. So land cooperatives were an alternative to land consolidation. Now, why they were not successful? They were not successful because land is an asset for the landowner, and he does not want to risk that asset by pledging it, the cooperative, and merging it with other free. Now he's always in danger. क्या पता कब उसकी जमीन ही हड़प ले ये cooperative. So there was always a risk, there was always a inertia, and hence it is it was obviously difficult to pledge their asset, and hence it is not as successful as we thought. So what we can do to overcome this is formation of social capital. It is one of the major steps. If there will be social capital, then he might trust on the people and he might pledge his land. And then we can have, in a way, land consolidation only in the name of land cooperatives. And another measure is to have proper land records. Proper land records. This can help, no? When so suppose if you pledged your this part of your area, now the neighbor is saying that no, his area is actually his area is not this much, it is this much. So this becomes a disputed portion. But when you will have land record, you can just solve this dispute. You know, see, in the land record, this area belongs to this person, and this belongs to the other person. So these all were the agendas of our land reform. Now let us look at the land use. Land use. How land is used in India. So total land of India is around 329 million hectare, but the total reported area is 304 or 305. It varies in various government documents. Why it is 304 and it is 329? Why there is a gap? Because of some land which is not in our under administrative control. But it is ours, but not in our administrative control right now. So the Department of Land identifies some categories of land use. So you can make this chart. So around 46% of land here, 25% land here, 8%, another 5 to 8%, 10%, 3%, 1%. थोड़ा स्केलिंग की दिक्कत है, but just take the idea of the fact. So this 46% is our land under cultivation. This is our net sown area. Then this 3% is land under pastures. 1% is land under trees. Then 10% is current fallow and other fallow. 8% is wasteland. 5 to 8% is uncultivable, and 25% is land under forest. So within this also only 10% is actual forest. The rest is just on papers. So if we see the analysis of this thing, we can say that fallow and current fallow, which is where it is. Just let me show you. The fallow and current fallow, which is of 10%. This is an enormous wastage of land. Leave the culture, leave the wastable land, but the करंट फैलो अनदर फैलो इसको तो यूज कर सकते हैं ना। तो हमारा टारगेट होना चाहिए इसको वापस लाया जाए, क्योंकि यहाँ पे फिर सॉइल इरोजन का रिस्क हो जाता है, डेजर्टिफिकेशन स्टार्ट होने का रिस्क हो जाता है। तो इस पे हमको फोकस करना है, इसको हमें वापस लाना है। फिर अगर ग्लोबल एवरेज हम देखें ऑफ नेट सोन एरिया इज 20-25% ग्लोबली, इंडिया में इट इज 140 million hectare. So this 46-45% in terms of land is 140 million hectare. चाइना को आप देखोगे तो इट इज ओनली फार्मिंग इन 90 million hectare. तो हमें करना ये चाहिए कि हमें भी इसको 140 से ना रिड्यूस करना चाहिए and bring it down to somewhere the level of China or maybe 100 or 110 to begin with. So what will happen now? It will increase our productivity. The amount of resources we are investing on this 140 million hectare, if we invest on the same 100 million hectare, no, the productivity will increase. It will increase X number of times. Then third is land for development will increase. So because of infrastructure development, it has to increase. So we should see that the land acquisition should be planned before. जो ये 8% वेस्टलैंड है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर आपको बनाना है तो यू शुड मेक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर हियर, नॉट इन दिस प्लेस, नॉट इन दिस प्लेस, एंड स्पेशली नॉट इन दिस प्लेस, क्योंकि ये तो छोड़ ही रखा है ना, तो ये बड़ा डेंजरस है। और इधर की जो 15% है ना, इसमें भी बिल्कुल नहीं। बट आयरनी इसकी इसमें ऑलरेडी बन चुका है काफी, बट अभी भी जितना बचाया जा सकता है वी कैन वर्क फॉर इट। देन पैस्चर लैंड ऑफ 3% इज वेरी लो, we need to we need to focus to increase this percentage. Forest land is not adequate. Ideally जो स्टेट फॉरेस्ट रिपोर्ट आती है तो आइडल 33% माना गया है कि फॉरेस्ट कवरेज कवर 33% होना चाहिए। हमारा 25% है, तो हमें इसको बढ़ाने की जरूरत है, 33 लाने की जरूरत है। क्योंकि ये फॉरेस्ट बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट हो जाते हैं। वाई दे आर इम्पोर्टेंट? क्योंकि ट्राइबल्स जो हमारे हैं वो इसी एरिया में रह रहे हैं, है ना। तो फॉरेस्ट लैंड इज नॉट एडिक्वेट, इट्स नॉट 33%। देयरफॉर conflicting and competing demand of land can be addressed. But how to address it? It can be addressed only by land planning and appropriation and rational use of the given amount of land. And we, to use it rationally, to use it appropriately, what do we need? We need the classification of land. And how to do the classification of land? It is our next topic, that is land capability classification. So our next topic is land capability classification. So basically land management, that is deciding which land to divert from non-agriculture purpose and which to retain based on the classification of land according to the fertility and quality. It is part of the land capability classification. Now, what are the factors which decide the capability of land? It is the soil fertility, soil type, soil porosity, the base content of the soil, the irrigation facility there. the climatic conditions, the slope and terrain, the technology available, the water availability, है ना? So these are the factors which decide the land's capability. So if we see the initial attempt on providing a land capability classification was done in Britain. There was a person in Britain known as LD Stan. LD Stan. So LD Stan tried to classify the land capability classification. He tried, and the method which he used was later adapted and modified by Tennessee TENNESSE Tennessee Valley Authority. So ba this was based the land capability classification on erodibility criteria, ignoring all other factors like slopes. So basically, in this, na, land was classified into four categories. मतलब पहले तो दो कैटेगरीज में क्लासिफाई किया, टाइप ए एंड टाइप बी, और फिर दोनों टाइप ए और टाइप बी के अंदर फर्दर क्लासिफिकेशन किया चार चार कैटेगरीज का, तो टोटल हम मान सकते हैं आठ कैटेगरीज हुई। टाइप ए की चार कैटेगरीज और फिर टाइप बी की चार कैटेगरीज। तो द इनिशियल अटेम्प्ट एट एलसीसी वाज ट्राइड इन ब्रिटेन, ये मैंने बता दिया आपको। देन ये टीवीए बेस्ड द लैंड सीसी ऑन इरोडेबिलिटी क्राइटेरिया, इसने सारे और दूसरे फैक्टर्स इग्नोर किए एंड इट्स स्ट्रेस्ड ऑन स्लोप फैक्टर। तो स्लोप एज अ फंक्शन ऑफ एलसीसी, ये आप कह सकते हैं। इनका मानना ये था कि बेसिकली जो फ्लैट और जेंटल स्लोप है वहां पे हाई कैपेबिलिटी है, जहाँ स्टीप स्लोप है वहाँ लो कैपेबिलिटी है। तो इन्होंने क्या किया, हाई कैपेबिलिटी, लो कैपेबिलिटी, टाइप ए, टाइप बी, वन टू थ्री फोर, ऐसा करके कैटेगराइजेशन कर दिया। इसको क्या रखा, फ्लैट, रिलेटिवली जेंटल। ये क्या रहा, ये रहा स्टीप एंड मोर सुटेबल फॉर फॉरेस्ट्री एक्टिविटीज। सो दिस वाज अमंग द इनिशियल इनिशिएटिव्स, है ना। मॉडर्न स्कीम्स जो हैं वो बहुत ज्यादा डिटेल बेसिस यूज करते हैं, इन्होंने सिर्फ स्लोप एज अ फैक्टर यूज किया। मॉडर्न स्कीम में सॉइल भी यूज होगा, दूसरे फैक्टर्स भी यूज होंगे। तो अब आगे बढ़ते हैं, एक बहुत ज्यादा ही इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक है, इसका नाम है एग्रीकल्चर रीजनलाइजेशन। एग्रीकल्चर रीजनलाइजेशन। So what is agriculture regionalization? Basically, it is identifying and separating regions on the basis of agriculture crop and on the basis of quality, the problems and the agriculture conditions there. And the objective is to identify different location under various agriculture criteria. So identifying and separating regions on the basis of maybe crop, maybe condition, the agriculture problems there. So it will help us to identify the location under various agriculture criteria. Now, what will happen when we'll have this agriculture criteria? So this agriculture criteria, पहले तो ये है कि ये बनेगा कैसे। इस एग्रीकल्चर क्राइटेरिया को बनाने के लिए व्हाट आर द बेसिस। सो one of the basis is dominant crop, that is crop which is occupying maximum uh, occurrence, maximum average. For India, there are majorly seven crops. It is pulse. So for India, there is seven crops: pulse, cotton, millet, maize. So you can remember it as PCM. Then maize, sugarcane, rice, then wheat. So these are the seven dominant crops for India. Then what else can be the basis for this agriculture regionalization? Second basis can be productivity. Productivity regionalization, where the productivity is high and very high, where it is moderate, where it is low and very low. Then third can be the farming system and practices. So what is the land use? Is it extensive land use? Is it intensive land use? What is the quality of infrastructure? Is it monoculture or it is mixed? Is it uh, commercialization? And if it's commercialization, what is the nature or degree of commercialization? So this is also one of the bases. Now, कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव एग्रीकल्चर रीजनलाइजेशन काफी सारे स्कॉलर्स ने अटेम्प्ट करने का ट्राई किया. गिलबर्ट हो गया, रिमेंबर एल डी स्टैन, उन्होंने भी ट्राई किया. देन देयर वाज अ पर्सन नोन एज बेकर, उसने भी ट्राई किया. देन देयर इज अ पर्सन नोन एज विटेल्सी. नाउ विटेल्सी इज व्हाट यूपीएससी पूछता है और जो हमें ऑप्शन में पढ़ना जरूरी है. पर और भी बेसिस देख लेते हैं पहले, उसके बाद मैं विटेल्सी बताऊंगा. कितने बेसिस हो गए थे? तीन बेसिस हो गए थे. तो इसके अलावा एक बेसिस और हो सकता है, उसे बोलते हैं क्रॉप कॉम्बिनेशन एनालिसिस या रीजनलाइजेशन. उसको भी वी कैन यूज एज अ बेसिस फॉर एग्रीकल्चर रीजनलाइजेशन. अब ये जो विटलसी वाला क्लासिफिकेशन है, पहले इसको देख लेते हैं, फिर दूसरी चीजें देखेंगे. तो व्हाट विटलसी डिड इज, दिस मैन विटलसी identified following type of agriculture. So basically, he gave around 12, I think. Yes, he gave 12 regions, and this is how he has classified things. So first is the areas with no agriculture. In Whittlesey's classification, first is areas of no agriculture. Then second is regions with shifting agriculture. For example, we have Podu in South India, we have Beaver in Rajasthan. And in such region, he gives details like mostly rice and millet and bananas are grown. Fundamentally, root crops are grown in majority. And here the peoples are primitive tribes. Then the third region is agriculture region with primitive tribes but sedentary agriculture. So here he gives example of the Kikuyu, sorry, Kikuyu of Kenya. So these are the regions where the tribe is primitive, but the agriculture is sedentary. Then fourth, he gives nomadic farming. Nomadic farming. Here primitive type it is, use of cattle, use of sheep, use of goat, and they are moving from pastures to pastures. So they are not static, rather they are dynamic. And these type of nomadic farming is very common in semi-arid and arid regions, plus also tropical central grasslands. For and this is an example of extensive farming. So this is the fourth region he's telling about us. He's telling us about. Then there is a fifth region. The fifth region is the region with intensive farming, and rice has domination. Rice has dominated. So this can be areas of South Asia or Southeast Asia. Then sixth, he tells us intensive farming without rice. So the first was intensive farming with rice. This is intensive farming without rice. And these both, 5 and 6, these both are examples of intensive subsistence farming. Then seventh, he said that seventh is subsistence mixed farming, in which we have crops as well as livestock. So this is the seventh classification. Then his eighth classification is commercial grain farming. Here, the main crop is wheat. The farming is mostly mechanized. For example, in you see in Canada, US, Russia. Then the nature is monoculture and it is also extensive farming. Then ninth, he tells us about another classification, that is commercial dairy farming. Now in commercial dairy farming, what happens? So people start keeping livestock for milk production. The farming is highly mechanized. For example, in Australia, we have presence of urban markets. So the farming is based on the urban market demands. Then there is very high productivity of cattle. You can see in the, for example, you can write Canterbury Plains, New Zealand, and also in parts of French, parts of Denmark. Then the tenth area which he tells us is tenth, basically the tenth classification is livestock ranching. So here cattle, sheep, goats are domesticated. This is based on large pasture areas. So there are large pasture areas, and this is uh, commercial, but main focus is meat and not milk. So not saying that completely मीट पे ही फोकस है. देर आर प्लेसेस जैसे कि यूके और यूएस में इट इज यूज फॉर वुल ऑल्सो, बट मोस्टली इट इज नॉट फोकसिंग ऑन मिल्क रादर देन इट इज फोकसिंग ऑन मीट. जैसे वेस्टर्न यूएस हो गया, एंड यू हैव अर्जेंटीना, पैम्पास. Some other example of this is in New Zealand, northern island of New Zealand. You have Taramaki Plains. It is their livestock ranching is practiced for cattle meat. Then in southern Iceland, Canterbury Plains, where there you have sheep. So this is 10. Now 11th is plantation agriculture and horticulture. So apart from rice and wheat, there is a large scale commercial industrial production and processing of crops in this plantation agriculture and horticulture. और ये सबसे ज्यादा इनपुट इंटेंसिव है. इसमें बहुत इनपुट लगता है और इसी वजह से ये सबसे हाईएस्ट इश्यूज ऑफ इकोलॉजी भी इसमें पड़ते हैं, क्योंकि बहुत इनपुट इंटेंसिव है, बहुत सारा फर्टिलाइजर इज यूज्ड, सारा पेस्टिसाइड्स इज यूज्ड, and therefore the environmental issues arise. And then the last 12th is commercial mixed farming. Here the crops are subsistence, but the livestock are used as commercial. And the livestock which the farmer uses for commercial purposes, it is highly mechanized. Again, the input is very intensive, and this type of practice is very common where the land is limited. है ना? So this is more or less Whittlesey's classification. So we are done with it. Now here I told you for agriculture regionalization, what can be the basis? So basis could be the farming system. On the basis of farming system, we studied the classification of Whittlesey, but there was another basis also. Remember, cropping combination and analysis and regionalization. Now we will see this one. इसमें we have basically uh, two theories. अच्छा, by the way, I forgot one more. It's not 12, it's 13. One is the Mediterranean agriculture also, which is basically again commercial, intensive and mixed farming. And the regions are France, Italy, Greece, Spain, Morocco, Lebanon, Australia also, south parts of South Africa for that matter. Here, livestock is used in industries like for cheese industry. The crops which are uh, produced are grains, grapes, olive, orchard. All those temperate species are also here. So yeah, moving on to the next one, crop combination and analysis. So while detailing and describing it is important that we should not limit the agriculture description to the uh, dominant rank crop alone. So the fact is not even monoculture regions of plantation are truly single crop regions. सब जगह कुछ ना कुछ एक्स्ट्रा हो रहा ही रहता है. सिंगल क्रॉप तो मोनोकल्चर में भी नहीं मिलेगा. और इसीलिए इट इज इम्पोर्टेंट टू डिटेल एंड एक्नॉलेज द अदर क्रॉप्स एंड सेकेंडरी फार्मिंग कंपोनेंट्स ऑल्सो, क्योंकि ये 13 के 13 में हमने सिर्फ जो है फर्स्ट रैंक की क्रॉप को या डोमिनेंट क्रॉप फंक्शन को ज्यादा फोकस किया है. लेकिन हमें क्या करना चाहिए, वी नीड टू address and acknowledge the other crop, the secondary farming components also. However, challenge lies in deciding which crops. कि बहुत सारी हैं. Now, which crop will you take for consideration? And to resolve this challenge, we have two classification. We have JC Weaver's classification and the Weaver's classification, which was modified by Singh and Dhillon for India specifically that we have. So first, I'll tell you about the JC Weaver's classification. JC Weaver's classification. Now, what does this guy says? So basically, in 1954, Weaver developed the statistical method, and his technique was uh, based on based on studying studying area based coverage of crops at a scale of country. For him, the country at a scale of county, sorry, not country, county in the US. So what he did is at the district level, the crops grown are tabulated. He tabulated the crops grown at district level in percentage terms in area covered. And then crops under 1% of area जो भी थी, उनको तो इग्नोर ही कर दिया क्योंकि वो बहुत इंसिग्निफिकेंट थी. उसके बाद जो बची हुई क्रॉप्स थी उसमें इसने देखा कि जो स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन ऑफ क्रॉप है डिफरेंट आइडियल क्रॉप कॉम्बे वो कितना जो स्टैंडर्ड डिविएशन है वो कितना कम या ज्यादा है आइडियल क्रॉप कॉम्बिनेशन के हिसाब से. सो मैं बताता हूँ. सो एक्चुअली में ये होता कैसे है. सो फर्स्ट इसमें हम क्या करते हैं कि डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल पे जो भी क्रॉप्स है ना उनको एक टैब्यूलेटेड फॉर्म में परसेंटेज टर्म्स में हम लिख लेते हैं. उसके बाद अगर कोई क्रॉप सपोज 1% है या 0.5% है इसको तो हम इग्नोर कर देते हैं क्योंकि ये इतनी सिग्निफिकेंट नहीं है. देन जो द स्टैंडर्ड डिवीजन जो है तो द स्टैंडर्ड डिवीजन ऑफ द क्रॉप एक्रेज फॉर डिफरेंट आइडियल क्रॉप combination area is calculated. Then whichever mean standard deviation from the ideal combination acreage is least is the crop combination of that region. अब मानो जैसे एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट लिया, यहाँ वीट है, यहाँ ज्वार है, दिस इज बाजरा, दिस इज pulses, this is now maize. What we'll do? First, तो we will take uh, the percentage. So for two crop, मतलब it is the rule. One crop, तो for one crop it will be 100%. For two crop, the standard deviation. Two crop standard deviation is 50%. Then for three crop, it is 33.33%. For four crop, it is 25%. So this is the standard deviation for any crop. Now suppose uh, when we have tabulated this, so wheat came out to be 40, this came out to be 30, this is 15, this is 10, this is 5. Now we will apply this, we will put these value in a formula. So suppose we have to find two crop region, two crop region. तो हम क्या करेंगे, जो फर्स्ट क्रॉप है उसको माइनस कितना, दो क्रॉप का क्या स्टैंडर्ड डिवीजन है 50, -50 होल स्क्वायर प्लस दूसरी जो क्रॉप है ये तो 40 थी, 30, 30 -50 होल स्क्वायर डिवाइडेड बाई 2। अब इसका कुछ तो भी एक्स वाई जी आंसर आएगा। ऐसे ही हम थ्री क्रॉप रीजन के लिए निकालेंगे, उसमें हम 40 -33 स्क्वायर प्लस 30 -33 का होल स्क्वायर प्लस कितना था 15, we'll take 15 minus 33.33 to be precise का होल स्क्वायर डिवाइडेड बाय 3। नाउ इसका कुछ ए बी सी करके आंसर आएगा। सो सपोज जो सबसे कम डिविएशन है, विच एवर इज द लीस्ट, मैं एक न्यूमेरिकल वैल्यू बनाऊं तो मान लो टू क्रॉप रीजन, थ्री क्रॉप, फोर क्रॉप, फाइव क्रॉप के आंसर आए थे। इसका आया था 1000, इसका आया था 900, इसका आया था 250 एंड दिस टेक 700। So the least deviation is this 4. So we will say that ये ही एक आइडियल कंडीशन है, एक आइडियल क्रॉप कॉम्बिनेशन है उस पर्टिकुलर रीजन के लिए जिसकी भी हम बात कर रहे हैं। So in this example we will consider it as the three crop combination system is having the least standard deviation. अब हुआ क्या, for applying this crop combination analysis in India, this weavers के method को ना there were some people like Kopok, Dewey, Singh and Dillon, so they modified it. So what did they do? So modified, modification, इसको you can say Singh and Dillon modification of the weavers methodology। तो what did they do? तो इन्होंने क्या किया, इंडिया को 11 मेजर क्रॉप में और 38 क्रॉप कॉम्बिनेशन में डिवाइड किया। तो 11 मेजर क्रॉप्स कौन सी थी? द 11 क्रॉप्स आर द फर्स्ट रैंकिंग क्रॉप अकॉर्डिंग टू सिंह एंड दिल्लन। वो है राइस, राइस को लिया, मेस लिया, वीट, बाजरा, ज्वार, रागी, बार्ली, कॉटन, ग्राउंडनट, टी एंड वन मोर वाज पल्सेस। सो इनको उसने टॉप 11 पे रखा। देन व्हाट डिड ही डू? तो डिस्पाइट these 11 top rank crops, the first four, these ones are the major are majorly dominating the Indian agriculture. So the most common cash crop in combination are sugarcane, tea, coffee, tobacco. So India is predominantly a food crop combination agriculture system where the major secondary crop are mainly millet and pulses. So crop combination have rapidly changed in the last 30 years, and because of the technologies and deliberate government policies and for ecological factor, most of the ecological and economic problem related to agriculture can be managed by crop combination alternative alterations. So what has happened here is they did some modification. I told you about that. फिर मोस्टली हमारा जो कैश क्रॉप है, I told you about that. Then this क्रॉप कॉम्बिनेशन लास्ट 30 ईयर में इवॉल्व हुआ क्योंकि टेक्नोलॉजी इवॉल्व हुई, गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज आई, इकोलॉजिकल फैक्टर्स आए. So as a part of ecological crop combination, crop rotation practices are now the only significant solution left. And recent focus on the agriculture program to support and promote millet, oilseeds, agroforestry are a step towards this objective only. है ना? So yeah, we are done with this topic. Now our next topic of discussion is another very important topic known as agro climate regionalization, ACR. So, coming directly to the topic, what is the purpose of ACR? So, the first, what is purpose of ACR? To understand diversity in terms of crop, in terms of productivity, in terms of agriculture system. इस diversity को समझना है. And then to evaluate what the prospects and problems of agriculture region, and उसके बाद suggest what? Suggest future prospects for agriculture development and agriculture planning. It is not much about, so basically the approach here is not much about what exists. It is more about what should be done. So ACR, your agroclimatic regionalization, or AER, agroecological regionalization, they are basically planning concepts. They are planning concepts where objective is to prescribe the choice of crop and the method of farming from ecological भी और agriculture sustainable objectives के साथ. जो भी methods prescribe करेंगे, जो भी crops का decision लेंगे कि कौन सी crops grow करनी है, they should be ecologically and agriculture sustainable. So it also acknowledges, and so basically this ACR or AER concept, it includes acknowledging and developing the economy beyond agriculture. Though we are not ignoring the character of Indian economy, but we are trying to develop it beyond agriculture also. Now, how does this ACR or AER does its work? So it helps in agriculture planning. It helps in agriculture-based planning, and it also promotes sustainable and beneficial agriculture system. So this can be achieved by promoting local area resources and condition. So ACR and ACP was accepted as a model for India's planning by the Planning Commission in 1980s. So in 1980s there were some criterias given for agro-climatic region. So what were these criteria? These criteria were agriculture-based development, ecologically sustainable agriculture, and the regions must be based on local areas' physical condition. Here the keyword is physical geology, which is the primary basis of AGR. And local area condition may you have rain, you have soil, you have terrain, you have climate, you have water availability, you have groundwater resources, you have topography, etc. So through this classification, we can divide India into five macro level agroclimatic regions. What are these five macro level agroclimatic region? यार ये पेन भिखारी है. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. First is Himalayas. Second is Northern Plain. Third is Peninsular Plateau. Fourth is Eastern and Western Ghats. And the fifth is the islands. So we categorize India into broadly into these five climatic zones. Now, the Planning Commission and the government further subdivided these five into 15, and that is the agroclimatic regionalization of India. So I'll draw a map and tell you, and you can make notes of this also. सो अगर पिंक कलर से मैं फर्स्ट वाले एरिया को मार्क करता हूँ, सो द वेस्ट जो हिमालयास थे ना, उनको डिवाइड किया वेस्टर्न हिमालयास और ईस्टर्न हिमालयास में. सो दिस इज broadly the area of western Himalayas, and this is broadly the area of eastern Himalayas, even this also. Then second classification is northern plain. Northern plain got divided into five. First is the Trans-Gangetic Plain, then you have Upper Gangetic Plain, you have Middle Gangetic Plain, you have Lower Gangetic Plain, and you have the Western Dry Regions. So 1, 2 and this 5, 7. अब पेनिनसुला प्लेट्यू को भी 5 पार्ट्स में डिवाइड किया. उसमें क्या था? उसमें you have the central plateau, you have the eastern plateau, you have the western plateau, and you have the Gujarat plateau. Central, Gujarat, western, eastern, and one more, southern plateau. So this is 5 and 2, 10. Now eastern Ghat and western Ghats. So suppose this is the western Ghats and these are the eastern Ghats. The remaining here is the Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep Island. So this is basically the very vague and what do I say, pathetic diagram. But yeah, this is how. Now what we have to do is ये जो अलग अलग जोन्स है ना, उनकी डिटेलिंग करनी है, क्योंकि क्वेश्चंस कभी कभी इन पे भी आ सकता है. फॉर एग्जांपल दिस इज द गुजरात वाला प्लेन. तो व्हाट डू वी डू, हाउ टू डिटेल them? I'm telling you this for one region, do it for all. Write about the rainfall of the area, weather of the area, what is the soil in that area, what is the temperature there, what are the irrigation facilities, what are the issues, what is the solutions, what is the topography, what is the crops sown, what are the rivers of the area. So like this you can detail all the 15 areas. For example, here you can write the crops is maybe tea, rainfall is around 250 centimeter, topography is mountain, temperature is cold, issues is of the issues are of terrain, the issue is of uh, soil mulching, then यहाँ पे क्या क्या solutions हो सकते हैं, counter contour bounding is a solution. This I am telling in very brief and very vague. You have to detail it very elaborately. ब्रह्मपुत्र is flowing through here. तो ऐसे ये सारे डिटेल्स फिल कर देना सारे उसमें, तो you will have a one pager note or a 10 marker question solved. Then now talking about next concept, it is agroecological regionalization. First we did agroclimatic regionalization. Now we are focusing on agroecological regionalization. Now what is the difference? So the concept of AER. So AER is basically ACR concept only itself, but more explicit in terms of other ecological character. It is AER is equals to ACR plus explicit in terms of ecological factors beyond rainfall condition. So the agroclimatic regionalization map is more or less dominantly categorized on the basis of rainfall only. But AER focuses on more factors. So the AER is redefined by the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO with modification. So it is more explicit about soil condition, है ना? It is not just the land, not just concerned with physiography. It also considered length of growing season too. Length of season are also taken into account. So it is more inclusive of of factors like humidity. It also includes local biodiversity. So ACR is basically you can say modified into AER. तो अब इसमें जो ACR में हमारे पास ये 15 रीजन्स थे ना, AER में 15 रीजन्स के अलावा कुछ एडिशनल हमने ऐड किया है. अगेन एक और बहुत ही घटिया सा मैप. ठीक है भाई. इसमें आसाम प्लेन्स हमने ऐड किए हैं. देन वी हैव ईस्टर्न प्लेट्यू divided into highland, that is छोटा नागपुर एंड द बस्तर हाईलैंड. इसको हमने डिवाइड किया है यहाँ पे. दो और आ गए. फिर सेपरेट तेलंगाना आइडेंटिफाइड फ्रॉम योर southern highland or the southern plateau. Then Ladakh is considered distinct from Western Himalayas. It is not included now in Western Himalayas in the AER classification. है ना. ACR में तो वैसा का वैसे ही रहेगा चीजें. And now we have Malwa Highland. Here कहीं पे यहाँ पे इधर इस रेंज में कहीं पे. Sorry, not here. इधर पे. We have done one more classification, Malwa Highland. So to be precise, somewhat कुछ ऐसा है MP, है ना. ये यहाँ पे गुजरात हो गया, ये राजस्थान हो गया. दिस इज मालवा प्लेट्यू. सो इसको वी हैव सेपरेटेड फ्रॉम सेंट्रल प्लेट्यू. एंड दिस पॉपुलर स्कीम is given by ICAR, Indian Center for Agriculture Research. So that's it for the agroecological regionalization topic. Then after this, we have topics like we have some of the programs like PM Kisan, PM Fasal Bima, Agriculture Infrastructure Fund, Rashtriya Gokul Mission. So just see the current affairs for this and from the government website, take down some jottings and some notes about these programs. Nothing much, but it's better to know this program. Direct question might not come, but this can be used as a fodder. And now coming on to the last topic, which is fertilizers use in India. And after that, one more topic is left, sweet revolution. उसके बाद ये agriculture का unit, I can safely say 70-80% तो it is in control and it is in comprehensive coverage also. So अब fertilizers कर लेते हैं, उसके बाद sweet revolution करेंगे. Fertilizers. So side effect अब ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन यही था कि देयर वाज अनसाइंटिफिक यूज ऑफ फर्टिलाइजर एंड the fact is that agriculture is dependent on fertilizer, but we have to have a scientific management and scientific use of fertilizer. क्योंकि इंडिया में देखोगे तो देयर इज अ इम्बैलेंस इन फर्टिलाइजर यूज. तो यूरिया कंजम्पशन ही अकेला 3 times मोर है ऑफ व्हाट इज एडिक्वेट लेवल. कहीं पे अगर 1 kg डालना है तो इंडिया में वो है ना कि दैट सिक मेंटालिटी ऑफ एक की जगह 4 डाल दो और अच्छा हो जाएगा. बट दैट डज नॉट वर्क साइंटिफिकली. अगर आपको बुखार हुआ है, डॉक्टर ने एक टाइम पे एक टैबलेट लिखी है, तो यू कांट से ना कि दो खा लो जल्दी ठीक हो जाओगे. तो वैसे ही एक की जगह 4 किलो फर्टिलाइजर डालने से कुछ नहीं होगा, उल्टा खराब ही होगा, साइड इफेक्ट्स आएंगे. बट मेंटालिटी वही है, द मोर द बेटर. तो दिस इज द इशू. देन गिवन ऑल इश्यूज we have to appreciate that after all environmental damage, economical damage, fertilizer is integral to our agriculture development. We cannot separate this and develop this. We need both. So, what we need is interventions. So, interventions are needed. But why? To increase crop productivity, to increase livestock productivity, and also interventions in the credit market and technical support to the farmers. So, we can have support like post harvest food processing, है ना? It will give a quantum jump in value addition to the agriculture sector. It will also help to double the farmers' income, है ना? So in all this background, the use of fertilizers and the unsustainability issue regarding the use, what comes out as a solution is organic farming. This can prevent various things. Loss of soil, this can prevent, है ना? It can decrease desertification, है ना? Our fertility will no longer be compromised. So this is one of the best ways of how we can look up to things. Now there are some initiatives also in fertilizer management regarding introduction of biofertilizer into farming system. So there are three objectives of Government of India. GOI, three objective. Soil health card scheme. So here they are testing the soil and working on improvement of soil by properly managing the nutrient supply of the soil. Then second is changing type of fertilizer. So we have changed fertilizers in a way that now we are providing nano diammonium phosphate. We have brought in liquid urea, है ना? We have brought neem coated urea, which is way more effective. Liquid urea is तो I think 3 4 times more effective in terms of also cost and in terms of application with respect to the traditional urea. Then we have rationalized the subsidies and fertilizer price also. And the fourth is promoting organic farming. Now, organic farming is produced through various schemes. For example, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Vikas Yojana, National Organic Value Chain for Development of Northeastern Region. We have National Project on Organic Farming. This is again current affairs. इसको आप गवर्नमेंट वेबसाइट से देख लेंगे ज़्यादा अच्छा रहेगा. Then in 2023 we had PM Pranam, जिसमें we focused on reducing chemical fertilizer, adoption of alternative technology, organic farming, resource conservation, and etc. All those things. Now, initiative under PM Pranam are the Govardhan scheme, where we are trying to uh, convert the bio waste into energy. So we are kind of also doing programs to encourage biofertilizers, the culture of blue-green algae, the culture of azobacter, promoting legume, the vermiculture promotion. So all these are the initiative regarding fertilizers in India and what the government is doing. Now the last topic is sweet revolution. This is basically related to honey production. So what is the problem of agriculture? ये तो आप अभी तक बहुत अच्छे से समझ गए होगे. Tribal population not explicitly addressed. Value addition नहीं हो पा रहा है. And it's not just about the crop processing. It is way more ahead. उससे ज्यादा broad scope है उस चीज का. Then GI टैग और एक्सपोर्ट्स को हम इग्नोर नहीं कर सकते. ये भी एक अच्छी दिक्कत है. और एग्रीकल्चर डाइवर्सिफिकेशन तो हमेशा से इन जनरल एक प्रॉब्लम रहा है. तो इन सब चीज़ों को केटर करने में अपना ये हनी प्रोडक्शन इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. वाई इट इज़ इम्पोर्टेंट? बिकॉज लो कॉस्ट है, लैंड रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है, कैन बी डन इन कोऑपरेटिव सेक्टर में भी हो सकता है, अलग से भी हो सकता है ना. ऑल ईयर एक्टिविटी है, सीजन पे डिपेंडेंट नहीं है, मॉनसून पे डिपेंडेंट नहीं है, कभी भी कुछ भी आप इसमें आप कर सकते हो. जो फिनिश प्रोडक्ट है दैट इज ऑफ इमेंस हाई वैल्यू. यू सी रेट ऑफ हनी इज टचिंग द skies. एंड सबसे मेजर कैन बी डन बाय मार्जिनल फार्मर, स्मॉल फार्मर, लैंडलेस लेबर. कोई ऐसा इन्वेस्टमेंट इंटेंसिव नहीं है ये. तो बेसिकली अपना स्वीट रेवोल्यूशन इज प्रमोटिंग हनी कलेक्शन एंड प्रोडक्शन अंडर स्वीट क्रांति 2017 का ये प्रोग्राम है. इसको बोलते हैं हनी मिशन. इसके मेरिट्स यही सब हैं दैट इट विल हेल्प इन इनकम जनरेशन ऑफ फार्मर. ट्राइबल्स को इंक्लूड करेंगे तो ट्राइबल इंक्लूजन होगा. और मेडिसिन इंडस्ट्री के लिए भी दिस कैन बी अ गुड इनपुट. देन इट आल्सो हेल्प्स इन pollination in regular forms. So these are the benefits of the honey mission, and the apex body is Khadi Village Industry Commission. So yeah, that's it. This was a complete session on agriculture unit, and by and large, almost most of the topics have been covered. So thank you. That's from my side.